Hey everyone, it's Kara CrossFit Brindle. Welcome back to the channel. New guest on the channel today. So excited to have Cathy with us. Hi, Cathy. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you doing
Awesome.
today?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited. We've been talking for a while now to get you on the channel, and there's a reason, which the audience is about to hear why that took a process for us. But really, alternative healing, great for trauma work. All the therapists on this channel need to hear what you do. This is amazing. So, to kick it off, do you want to name your practice and what it is you do, and we'll take a deeper dive as we go along?
Yeah. So, Kathy Jones, my business name is Cranial Jones LLC, and I happen to practice biodynamic craniosacral therapy, and I have a background in neuromuscular massage therapy. So, I actually started out as a neck specialist because at the time I was working with a PT friend and I was working with thoracic outlet syndrome. And that's like compression along somewhere along here and not good. And well, I guess I'm getting ahead of myself. I was working on my aunt, actually. She's in her 50s at this time, and I was doing scalp massage and literally my thumbs started going like that. And I
Ah.
remember looking down and being like, wow, that's so weird. And I'm not doing that. I'm just going to see what happens. And about 30 seconds later, my aunt sat up and went, oh my God, Kathy, did you feel that? And I was like, what did I do? And
Mm.
I guess she heard a pop in her head and she felt something and she put her hand where she felt and she had had a big dent. I honestly never noticed it, didn't know about it, but apparently you could feel it. And she
Mm.
said it was gone. It had completely disappeared at age like 55 or something, you know? And so for me, I was just like, whoa, wait a minute. Like that really showed me that because it literally felt like something came in, I was squished over. I was like, what's happening? And I know that sounds weird, but it showed me that there is a deeper intelligence that's going on that is very alive and it's like the body knows what it needs if you can create the right conditions. And so I won't tell you the whole story, but I eventually found biodynamic craniosacral. So there's CST, which a lot of people have heard, Dr. John Upledger. That's not what I'm doing. I'm doing RCST. Franklin Sills is kind of it's his model that I've learned and what I am learning. And bear in mind, I've been doing this for over 20 years. I took a 2-year program. I teacher assisted a 2-year program. And now 20 something years later, I have a friend that opened a cranial school. I'm teacher assisting again. And I'm really deepening in my understanding of what is biodynamic and, um, and I'm floored by it. I've probably
Mm.
totally gotten off of where I was going, but I mean, I do that a lot. But I mean, I've had many amazing experiences with this work, and it when I first took up Ledger, it felt very protocol and very regimented. And I understand why they did that. But for me, my hands were already finding places. And I was just like, so it just wasn't the right place at the right time for me. And I
Mhm.
took a training in Boulder and I just biodynamic sometimes I'll say, Ledger, so there's a blueprint. We come in with a blueprint, just like a building, right? And then we have experiences. Birth is often our first one. And those experiences we call an imprint. And the imprints really affect how we move through life, how like sequencing, our sense of timing, how well we trust others, ourselves, transitions, a whole bunch of stuff. And
Mhm.
it really, birth sets up the tone for our nervous system. And so, in a nutshell, what I'm doing can feel a lot like energy work. And in a way, it is because I'm an energetic field. My client is an energetic field. And we come together and we create a field. And if the session is really working, we're in resonance and I'm feeling or sensing what's happening in their body. And it's like, oh, your left hip is about to let go. And they're like, I was just feeling that, and there's this dance. It's beautiful. And
Mm-hmm.
so things that this work can be good for, and jump in anytime. Like I could
Yeah,
just,
no, no, you're going exactly where I want you to go with the therapist audience.
okay,
Who's like, okay, who's this for? How does it work?
yeah. So
Absolutely. Keep
I've
going.
worked with babies, like babies that are having difficulty nursing. I've worked with kiddos on the spectrum. It's great for kids with sensory or ADD, ADHD. Same with adults. Brain injuries, it's great for. It really, number one, I think the way that we do biodynamic, and particularly the way that we're teaching in this new training that I'm doing now, it's very trauma informed. It's very like I'm never ever going to even put my hands on you until I feel that sense of resonance. And so a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times I'm just talking to people and I'm feeling their nervous system literally settling before I ever put hands on. So you can really work with trauma. It's really helps to get people into their body, get awareness, regulate the nervous system. We have this kind of window of like vagal tone, we're always going into states of healthy sympathetic and parasympathetic. And what cranial can do is it can help increase that window before people lose their beep. When we start to
Right.
like have inappropriate responses, cranial can really help to get people back in that window and give them the tools and resources to stay in that window, to recognize when they're not in that window. So it's a lot of information about the body. It's great for things like POTS, which is
Mm,
an autoimmune disease that a lot of people are showing up with now because it can really help to regulate, the nervous system, sympathetic, parasympathetic. I've had people with migraines, tinnitus. And incidentally, when I was working with that PT, and she was phenomenal, by the way, but every now and then she would come in my office and be like, oh my God, I overdid it on like a nerve glide, and now someone's nerve pain is raging. Can you do that thing you do? And I would do literally a few minutes of cranial, and hands down, 100% of the time, pain levels went down by at least 3 numbers, which is
mm,
major on the pain scale. So it's just phenomenal for stress, anxiety, overwhelm, dysregulation. And it's the nervous system. That's the motherboard of the computer. So sleep,
mm.
digestion, hormones, I mean, you name it, we can get in there. And what I like about
Right.
this is it's deep. You can work in fluids, in tissues, in bone, energetically, emotionally, physically. Like and it's great in addition to therapy because I'm not a psychotherapist. And so it can be really nice because a psychotherapist can work to bring things up. And then it's like, okay, so let's take this into a cranial session. Let's spend some time building some resources, internal and external. Feel that in the body, somatic, right? And then let's take, a recent or a past challenge that wasn't like the biggest thing ever,
Right.
but
Right.
and because we all lived through those challenges. And that's the thing is um it's creating resources in the body. And that actually leads me to my whole belief, which is my whole spiel is everywhere we go in our culture, someone is trying to tell us we're not enough, we're broken,
Mhm.
we don't know, you need this pill or someone to fix you or someone to tell you. And it's crazy. And so the paradigm shift that this work really put me through was recognizing that we have everything we need within us. And what my job is I create the conditions for healing to happen. And that blueprint that I was talking about, it gets obscured, but it never goes away. So like you can focus on the imprint, which a lot of therapists do. Let me get in there and pathologize and and figure it out in my brain and and that's if you think of a lake and boats, right? The imprint is the boats floating on the water.
Yeah.
We're really dropping below that, going back down to the blueprint, finding the health in the system, and we're focusing on the water that the boats are floating on, and the fluids. And another thing to think about is like when lightning hits a lake, right? That charge dissipates, right?
Mhm.
Cranial is the same way. When you put your hands on someone's body and it's all dry, and you think about fluids, and the fluids can come up and literally, same way, dissipate trauma energy and help it to shift. So a big thing for me is really in my practice, I have this saying where it's like your body isn't broken, it's brilliant. I'm going
Mhm.
to help you learn the language of your body, learn to drop in, to listen, to feel. And, sometimes craniosacral, sometimes it's not always sunshine and rainbows. Like sometimes, as stuff will come up, can come up, but generally it's not going to come up unless the body feels ready or
Mhm.
safe enough or.
Yeah. I mean, I
Uh,
think that's what I wanted viewers to hear of in this interview is something you requested of me before we jumped on this interview is, hey, Khara, try it out. And so I was like, okay, let's try it out. And so in my experience, it did feel like energy and safety and like there was this softening. I think at one point you were like, this feels like jet fuel coming out your feet, right? It was like so charged. And it was like, okay, now it's like going softer. Anyone who knows me at my highest state, it does feel like high idle. So that really resonated. And stuff came up, which we're not here to unpack all of that, but like it was a very powerful session. And it did have this like residual effect a couple days after because you were checking in with me. So I think for our audience of therapists, just knowing that this is another resource to treat trauma, to help clients who are feeling stuck or to regulate that nervous system, to widen that window of tolerance is really important to emphasize. And I know that's how we became connected is another therapist like I refer my clients to her all the time. Like, this is amazing. This is helpful. And it sounds like it treats quite a list of different ailments that people might have. So anything you want to ask me about our experience together before, of course, ask you to share
yeah.
where people find you because we're getting them all
Well,
hyped up about it.
well, I will say, I mean, I don't want to give too much away about our session, but I will say in a lot of sessions for me, so I do try, cranial should be safe and nurturing anyway, but I really, really pride myself on making my practice a nurturing space.
Mhm.
And I just, really want people to feel safe. And a lot of times people will either go into birth repatterning or birth stuff will come up because I do have a background in pre and perinatal.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't mention, but TMJ is another thing that's pretty major. And I would like to name a couple of things that I'm going to start doing.
Mhm.
And so I've been working out of my home since COVID, and I am actually wanting to kind of get back out, and I'm going to start doing guided meditations, like a once a month guided meditation at a little shop It's a newer metaphysical shop in our neighborhood called Discover Your Spiritual Gifts.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so new there. I'm probably not even on their websites, but I'm gonna start doing probably like a Thursday night guided meditation based on a lot of the cranial principles to help people get into their body as a way to make myself more affordable because it's $28 instead of, like 150 or 100 for a session.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to do that, and I may start also seeing people there. And I'm also going to be doing some sound healings too, because that's another thing. I sing and I love music, and I think sound and vibration and all of it is just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So
So cool. Yes. So I can definitely reiterate from our experience where I tried a session with you that you are very nurturing. There was a lot of asking consent of like, can I put my hand here? Is this okay? Are you feeling comfortable? Which I think for the therapist audience is important to be like, you're very conscious and very trauma informed in that way of like, let's make sure we get consent at every part of the process, which I think is helpful. It seems like you have something you want to say because I saw
yeah, well,
your
I just
face.
was going to say, and that is really important, and it's interesting because nobody knows this, but before we got on, and I'll just be vulnerable because I will. We're all, I'm assuming a lot of the people that are watching this are therapists. And so we all probably know, like, we follow our wounding, right? And that's even
Mhm.
part of our birth trauma is like, we're either seeking or avoiding, but we're trying, the body wants to go back to the blueprint. So we're always working to heal. We're fixers. I'm really seeing a whole new layer of the whole pleaser, fixer, see me, am I enough, and recognizing that, oh my God, truly biodynamic craniosacral. And this is why I like practicing it. It's not about my ego. It's not about me at all, other than how well I'm able to create space, hold curiosity. So it just, I don't know. I'm just so blown away by the work. And it's amazing to me. It's very universal what it does. And I was going to go to the verbal piece of it is I'm still, and I think this is why my brain is flubbing a little, is because I'm still deepening on a whole nother layer of the verbal piece because for years I had worked on people and a lot of people I now know, and especially now that I've been working with therapists and somatic people, just want to be worked on. And now I'm recognizing, no, this is a dance. It's dynamic. We're working together. We're in relationship. And it's okay, like if it's part of someone's process, dissociation, we can work with like those types of things. Imprints, we can work with those types of things. But it is important to talk about stuff. And that's it's people people stumble through it a little bit. It's new, you know what
Mhm.
I mean? But I
Yeah.
think when you can name something, it really has a way of dissipating the charge. And then we don't have to carry that around with us. And I think that's the beauty of this work is it's like a Tootsie Roll pop. Like, every session is a layer, and then you
Mhm.
get to that like authentic Tootsie Roll, like, this is who I am.
Yep.
And I
That
like
true
me.
self.
And I know that I have health in my body and I'm resourced and that's how I want everyone to feel.
Amazing. Yes. So knowing that we're wrapping up our time together today, where can people find you? Because I know that you even encouraged me, like, come try it, come see what it's like before we get on this video. I imagine our audience would also be curious about trying it out before they refer clients or become a client. So where do people find you?
Well, as I said, I'm working out of my house, so I am in Centennial, kind of Dry Creek in Quebec area. I'm pretty responsive with text, and honestly, I mean, I'm responsive with email too. So,
Well, I will make sure to put all your contact info below for folks that want to ask more questions or experience a session with you. I really appreciate what you offer our community when it comes to this other piece of healing. It's so important, and I love being able to help people see that these are options. So, Cathy, thank you so much for being here today.
thank you too, Kara. I really, really appreciate the opportunity to share this work, and it's amazing. And I'm so grateful. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I can tell you're passionate. Viewers, stay tuned for more videos from amazing professionals like Cathy. We'll see you next time.